What's up, podcast fans? This is a very special episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast, where you're going to get to listen in as I do a strategy session with one of my coaching clients for my Transformation ReBoot program. The goal of each one of these strategy sessions is to help my client identify, analyze, and prepare ahead for their top transformation danger zones. If you think that you could benefit from a coaching session like this, you can head on over to millionpoundmission.com and check out all of the information on my Transformation ReBoot membership. Now, let's dive into the episode. All right, Carmen, welcome to your hot seat session. What would you like to focus on here today?
So today I think I want to follow up a little bit on that email about when things are going well, then I'm like, oh, now we're going to eat some more. And that was like a pretty depressing aha moment.
Well, yeah. And like I said, I see this so often with people. Like it's very, very common. Our emotions, our highs, our lows are really tied up with our food. That mindset of like, I've been bad, I have to punish myself. I've been good, I can reward myself type of thing. So just getting out of that mindset a little bit. And like I said, just focusing more on implementing the systems, the habits, and letting some of that pressure be taken off your plate, where we let me as a coach or the group, support you and the systems like the workbook. That's going to help with things like decision fatigue. That'll lower your stress levels. That'll increase your willpower, and that'll help with everything. So over these, especially like this next, couple of 28-day cycles, I would say the focus point needs to be on, like, I pick a plan and I'm not going to change that plan for 28 days. Good, bad, or ugly, weigh-in wise. That's going to be a really, really strong focus point for you. And that way we can separate that action of I've been good or bad, and here's the change I'm going to make based off of that. So is that seeming doable at this point?
I think we're going to try it and we're going to see. I like it as an anchor. Like it seems, it seems workable. Yeah.
And it's like, I think setting more like attendance-based goals for you will be good too. Not necessarily let's lose X amount of weight in X amount of days. I don't think that'll be the right type of, I don't think that'll be positive pressure. I think that'll be negative pressure.
Right.
So things like I'm going to do X amount of workouts this cycle, that would be good. Or I'm going to do 15 minutes a day or X amount of steps, like that type of goal. I will meal prep every Sunday. Those types of show up for yourself type of goals. I think that's going to be important. What were you thinking as far as like the habit tracker and the battle plan workbook? What habit did you want to try to track this next cycle?
So I think for my habits, still working on the food ones, and then definitely needing some improvements to my breakfast. Like I feel like dinner's really good. We implemented meal prep. That's been not very challenging to do at least for the dinners. So good. That's been great. But breakfasts have been a little bit of a disaster. My daughter just started kindergarten. And so making sure we have her lunch prepared and then myself like ready to go in the morning, just like failed a lot this week. So, yeah.
Okay. So is it more of a time thing, or is it more of a food choice thing, or is it a little bit of both?
I think it's more of a time thing.
Okay. So with me, with our kids' schedules, I'm in the same boat. I've got a third grader and a preschooler, and the routine really starts the night before. Like you can set yourself up the night before pretty well. And, as you get into the routine, you'll get better with it. But just knowing like how much time you have to get ready. Like I'm not the type of person, like I don't set my alarm to wake up in the morning based off of like, if I know like, okay, I have 60 minutes it'll take me 60 minutes to get everything ready. So I will set my alarm 60 minutes before I have to absolutely leave the door. I don't do that. I set my alarm with some buffer time because I don't like to start my day rushed. That's not going to help anything. That's like getting up and stressing out immediately as soon as that alarm hits is not a good way to start your day. So whatever, if you know it's going to take an hour to do this whole routine of you getting ready, getting your child ready, lunch, all that, give yourself like half of that as buffer time, just so you can just chill and enjoy the morning and be present and be mindful, be able to handle any curveballs. So that's the first step that I would take, is add some buffer time. And if that means getting up a little bit earlier, that also means going to bed a little bit earlier that next day. So kind of you're not giving up sleep. It just shifts a little bit, and that's normal. But also the night before, like any sort of little, like I like giving myself a 10-minute a 10-minute zone to set up the next day. So with me, that's like a lot of journaling and looking at my like coaching call calendar and all that. But with you, with this situation, you could be like, what can I just chop up and have ready? Or do I need to have their lunch thing cleaned out? Or what can I just do for 10 minutes that will make tomorrow 10 minutes easier? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even just think like, okay, here's what I'm going to put in their lunch the next day. Maybe you can't prep right there because it won't stay good overnight, but you're like, okay, I got apples, I've got, a little sandwich, and then I've got some vegetables or whatever, and just think like that's what's going to happen the next day. That way you just execute the next day. So those would be the two things. Would be give yourself buffer time for the morning, schedule that in, but then the night before, take 10 minutes and just see if you can just use that to invest in the next morning to set yourself up. So it could be like crock pot stuff. It could be stuff for you. It could be stuff for your kid, whatever. But making sure that your child is sent off properly with, good nutrition, and then good lunch options, whatever. And then also that's important too. So those are the two things that we want to make sure that we're covering in that time, and take notes as you go, as you kind of get in the routine, because each time school year starts and it's a different grade and different level of responsibility, that'll change a little bit. But yeah, you'll find your flow. So is that helpful so far?
Yes,
Okay.
that is. I think I'm in denial about how long things take in the morning. So yeah, leads to a lot of like rushing. So.
Yeah. And I just am totally against that. Like I would much rather wake up 15 to 30 minutes earlier and like have a nice relaxed pace and be able to hug my kid and like just kind of talk about the day a little bit and sit down, have some breakfast, and not just be like sprint, stress, drive to school or whatever, drive to work super fast, stress. That's just a bad way to launch your day every day. So, and I go way the other end. Like I get up 2 hours before everybody else and I do all my meditation and journaling and all that, and we'll get you there. But I would like to see a 15 to, at least a 15-minute buffer of, I know it takes an hour. I'm gonna give myself 75 minutes before when that alarm goes off. If you can give yourself a half an hour, I think that you'll learn to appreciate that nicely. You can sit and have a little bit of coffee or something, like a little bit of you time. It's not a bad thing. So that's something that we can work towards. But I would just start kind of shimming that out to where you make little incremental jumps and you give yourself a little bit more of a buffer. And I think as a parent, you'll really enjoy that too. Just you'll be more connected and present. That's a good thing.
Definitely. So my other thing that I'm thinking about is that I work with a personal trainer like twice a week for 30 minutes. And so that is really good accountability, but like the time is not, like the time is in the morning and it's not as early as I would like it to be to allow for the transition to school. And then I'm like not doing anything else on the other days. So I'm just kind of thinking about like maybe putting that on pause for a little bit and trying a 28-day cycle where I'm doing like the workouts in the like accelerate piece or something. So I don't want to give up. I like the accountability of a trainer. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is really expensive and also not working. And Yeah.
I mean, I like to try to keep people locked into accountability anchor points as much as possible. So let's look at our different options. I mean, have you had the conversation of this time slot isn't working out as optimally now that school's in session and we need to move it up or back? Have you had that conversation with them yet?
I had it about like a month ago. I can have it again because his schedule changes too, but he didn't have any earlier times before.
Yeah. I would check in and just let him know like, hey, this is something that needs a shift for me for my morning routine. And maybe you stick with one time per week or, something shifts around. So I would put that out there. But yeah, like if that doesn't work, I would love seeing you do like the Accelerate 28. That's in your, in your video files with a membership, and 20 minutes per morning, or you could do it during lunch. You could do that at the end of the day, whatever. We can figure out when you're most likely. It sounds like morning is going to be the jam to use on that, but that it's going to be super effective, and I think that would be a good plan B. And you can also do another option is kind of a mix of the two options of maybe you do 1 or 2 PT sessions a week, and then the other days you do Accelerate 28. I'd like to see you have at least one full rest day. The nice thing, if you're just doing Accelerate 28, it works just because the mobility is built in. It's 10 minutes of fitness, and you can handle that daily. If you're doing more of like an intense strength training session, you're going to need some recovery built in. So I'll probably have you take off one of the days directly following the strength training session. Or maybe even both days following your strength training session or your PT session. I mean, so it would be like 3 days Accelerate 28, 2 days with the trainer, and then 2 days of recovery work where you could still just do the mobility for that day of Accelerate 28. So you don't feel like some people are like, I must check off every box. So that's an option as well. So how's that sounding as far as options go?
I think that is totally doable.
Okay.
So we'll try that.
Let's set that goal to have that conversation. Let's get that figured out, within the next week, because we're starting a new cycle tomorrow. That way we can, I don't want you to go a whole cycle, not just kind of in limbo with fitness. And you can always say, all right, like when are your normal days that you do your training on?
Tuesday and Thursday.
Cool. So tomorrow morning, let's plug you into that Accelerate 28. It doesn't have to be tomorrow morning, but it can be tomorrow at some point. Book that in, block that 20-minute. And that way that's at least initiated, and you can put that email out there or that phone call and talk to them, see what the schedule looks like. Maybe we keep that next week. Is it Tuesday and Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Accelerate 28 tomorrow, Monday, PT Tuesday, take Wednesday off, especially if you're going Thursday back to PT. So Wednesday would be a recovery day. Just do the mobility, and you can also just do the mobility on your PT days. Also, if you want to keep with the daily routine there, that would be. Yeah. I do mobility every single day, so that's totally doable. So okay, let me rewind that. Monday is full Accelerate 28. Tuesday PT with mobility from Accelerate 28. Wednesday just mobility from Accelerate 28. Thursday same thing as Tuesday, PT and mobility. Friday could be your call. It could be full Accelerate 28 or just mobility, and then Saturday, Sunday, full Accelerate 28. And I think that would be a good routine if you keep the PT. And then why don't you, once you decide, just email me, and that way I can be like, okay, here's what I recommend exactly. Okay. But now we have the broad view of the options. This next week, let's figure it out. And that way we have 3 full weeks of just implementation, and we're good to go. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Doable. All right, cool. What about nutrition? Like, what game plan are we looking at implementing with nutrition?
Still just whole foods. So when there's not whole foods, it counts as a cheat meal. Okay. So that's pretty clean. And then I wanted to try tracking my meals this time, or tracking what I was eating, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm having a treat meal tonight, and then I'll just extend my meal for like 2 hours and maybe not do that.
I've done that.
Or at least keep a record of it. So
that's good. I like that a lot. That would be a great habit for your habit tracker for this 28-day cycle with your workbook. Did I food journal today? Yes or no? That's very cut and dry. And then, just to check. And you could, it depends on what you like doing. If like I'm a big MyFitnessPal user, and I like that because later on, if we start tracking macros and calories and things like that, we'll have data to work with. And if you're going to write it down, might as well just write it down in an app in your phone. It's free versus writing it down on paper and having no data to work with. So I would consider using a free app like MyFitnessPal to track it that way. And don't stress about calories or macros or anything. But that data is there, because down the road, if you're like, well, I'm eating clean, but I gained weight for some reason, I'll be like, hey, let's go back in and pull those calories for the last month and let me know what the average looks like. Because a lot of times it's too low, and that's why people are gaining weight. Or obviously if you're eating 10,000 calories a day, then we're going to gain weight from that too. But I wouldn't make that the focus point of this cycle. The focus point is the habit of tracking and writing it down. I like that a whole lot. And just do the best that you can. Measure things when you can. If you take a cheat meal, just kind of guesstimate, or don't even stress about it that day. Just put 1 million for the cheat meal. Just, we'll know. Just make a little star on that day if you do a cheat meal. But I feel like that would be. I love habit as far as the workbook goes. The habit tracker, I like it to be very specific. Like I did it or I didn't. I put the check mark if I did, not if I didn't. So you feel like that's going to be decent for you as far as that? Okay, good. We're on a hot streak. All right, cool. So we've got your nutrition, your fitness defined. The habit is good. What about? Do you think it's going to be doable for you to plug into one of our 2 weekly calls each week, the Tuesday night or the Thursday during the day? Do you feel like that's a doable goal for you?
I think that Tuesday night will probably work. I just had we just have to mark it off on the calendar so it doesn't get double booked meetings.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that. And even every other week, it's just nice. I like to have people, especially, brand new. I mean, really everybody, I like to see your face. I like to be able to communicate. That's why I keep the group smaller, because I want to, if you do hit a rough patch, I can prevent a slide that, hopefully it's only a few days instead of a few weeks or whatever. So that's important. I'll stay on you, but I'll be kind of keep prodding, like, get on that call. Make sure that you book your next hot seat. So we've got that in the calendar as well. Otherwise, we can lock you in tight. We've got accountability sprint week next week inside the group, inside the Facebook group. I would recommend getting in there and just posting and just being accountable with that. And then if you want to be matched up with an accountability buddy, which I highly recommend, then we can make that happen for the next 28 days too. So I feel like that way, even if you do lose your accountability anchor point of the trainer, we'll have this other stuff. We'll line it up. So if you have the weekly call, the hot seat, the accountability buddy, that's going to thicken up the accountability buffer a little bit for you. So that's what's important. That's what I'm really keeping my eyes on too, as we get you integrated into the group, like making sure that you have that support. That's super important.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Carmen. Well, if anything else pops up, let me know. And once you figure out the schedule with your trainer and everything, just kick me an email or a Facebook message and just let me know. And I'll just line out specifics as far as what I'd recommend.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Have a great day, Carmen. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're someone that has been sucked into that black hole of weight loss doom, where you lose that weight, you gain it back over and over and over again, I would love to help you out by providing you with some coaching, a rock solid monthly game plan, and I'm going to plug you into an amazing transformation tribe of like-minded people. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com and get all of the information on my Transformation ReBoot membership. See you on the next episode.